Hey there, everyone. Welcome to the afternoon update. I'm Maggie Lake with macro strategist Craig Shapiro. Craig, home stretch of what is technically the first full trading day of the new year. Which make of the action so far?
Yeah, 2 hours to go. I mean, we're trading in part the Venezuela news over the weekend, I think, with precious metals had, very strong day. Silver and gold, big moves higher and equity indices under the hood. We're seeing, pretty good strength in energy stocks, particularly oil service names, which should benefit from eventual capex being spent in Venezuela. We're seeing precious metals names outperform and some of the materials names, and, being very bid. But under the hood, it's a little bit strange, the action. I'm seeing, really sizable weakness in some of the defensive sectors, utilities, staples, healthcare, even biotech, which I know isn't defensive, but decent underperformance there. So there's a bit of dispersion under the hood here. Mag 7 names are a little bit weaker. Big news after the close. Jensen Huang from NVIDIA is going to be speaking, giving kind of a state of the union for the company and for the industry at 4 o'clock. So that'll be, pretty interesting. You're seeing a bunch of options activity related to that, for the week. I think, big call buying again in NVIDIA for the week. So a lot going on. As I mentioned this morning, varsity team in play, but it seems like some of the action's a little bit sloppy, right? I mean, OIH names, oil service names up 7%, and big moves and big dispersion. So I don't know. We had the ISM manufacturing survey this morning, came in a bit weaker than expected on the overall indice, on the employment component, on the new orders component, and sticky prices paid. But the bond market reacted. It's been rallying. The dollar's been weak. That makes sense. But equities don't seem to care too much about that data point right now with this pro-cyclical rotation that's been going on.
Yeah, you're right. It's a lot of cross currents. Unclear maybe what's in the lead here. Because if you've got Chevron rocketing higher and you've got all this sort of enthusiasm around Venezuela, but you have oil up. So if oil is up, people sort of very quickly figuring out we're not going to be able to change production overnight in Venezuela. Well, that would also seem to apply to equities, yet you're seeing a little bit more enthusiasm there. So maybe that's where the knee-jerk trade is today.
Yeah, and you also have the dynamics in play with respect to inflation and inflation expectations, right? If oil, I think the intent was for us to go into Venezuela, take the oil, and bring back production. That was going to lead to lower oil prices, and all of a sudden, you wake up and 70, whatever you are, 48 hours later, and oil prices are higher. I'm not sure that was the reaction necessarily that the administration was hoping and looking for, and that begs the question of, will this continue? We've seen the commodity bid to start the year, to end last year, to start this year. Copper incredibly strong, aluminum, like really across the board, the commodity indices are very strong. And if oil winds up, picking up the slack and finding a move higher, inflation expectations move higher, makes it more difficult for the Fed to ease, which I think is going to be necessary in light of what I talked about this morning, which is slowing labor market momentum. Right, we're going to get a lot of data this week on the labor front. We get the ADP numbers on Wednesday, followed by claims on Thursday and NFP on Friday. And look, I think if the market will be looking to see whether or not this pace of deterioration has continued, as it picked up, is it moving the other way? I mean, I saw Goldman was out this morning talking, possibly higher numbers for payrolls on Friday. So I think the bond market is very tuned to that. And I think as we talked about last night, equities will care when the rate of change on yields starts to accelerate, right? I think either way. I think if yields start to break out to the upside, equities will care. And if yields really start to fall because of concerns about economic momentum, I think equities will care about that too. But if we're in kind of this lower bond vol range, where it's really kind of all systems go for the flows back into equities, to start the year.
Yeah, I think the reaction to Nvidia after the close is going to give us a good tell on sentiment. Hey, everybody in the chat. Zelino's tired already from this first day of trade. I don't blame you. And Jason, his class. So obviously still feeling a little ramped up. Two comments I want to mention. One, somebody mentioning small caps. We did see that it did look like the Russell. I know people have been watching for that. It did look like the Russell did fairly well
Yeah.
today.
Yeah. Russell has big outperformance, up 1.9% versus, Nasdaq's up 80 basis points and S&Ps are up 75 basis points. You're definitely seeing a bit of that size rotation from large cap to small cap. Again, second trading day of the year, whatever it is, we'll see if this continues, right? I think ultimately for small caps to work in 2026, I think you're going to need an economy that holds in there reasonably well. Labor market doesn't show further signs of deterioration, and inflation continues to move lower, which allows the Fed to provide that easing. That's kind of your Goldilocks scenario. I think in that environment, we could see the rotation out of the AI related names, a broadening out of the rally into some of the smaller cap names, and that could be a big theme for 2026. On the flip side, if the economy really struggles here, and look away from AI, it's not clear to me where we're seeing the pickup in the economy right now. Right, we talked about housing kind of being softer. Manufacturing figures out this morning weren't particularly good. Low end consumer continues to struggle. So where is that oomph going to come from away from the AI capex story? I'm not really sure yet, but look, I think the labor market momentum here to end the year and to start the year, to end the 25 and start 26 is going to be of importance about whether or not that small cap, small company outperformance can continue.
Yeah, and so many people were waiting for that small cap trade, right? It is like the constant disappointment for people who've been waiting for that turn or that rotation. Prakar mentioning crypto as primary. We did see crypto do well today. You taking anything you putting any stock in that in terms of sentiment, what that might say about risk on sentiment?
Look, yeah, we spoke a lot this morning with Larry Lepard about the Bitcoin underperformance versus precious metals as a store of value trade and how that wasn't really working to end the year. Clearly to start this year, I think we're seeing some more momentum back into the crypto space. Maybe part of that was tax loss selling that happened end of last year that kind of abated at the end of the year since crypto was a loser, and we're seeing some flows back in. I also saw there's some momentum in DC about potential crypto regulations and rules, and maybe the Clarity Act kind of getting some momentum here. So I think that folks possibly are excited about that. Ultimately, I think we need to see more liquidity coming in order to get the crypto market really going. I'm not getting any indications yet that we're going to get that from Treasury or from the Fed, but people are hopeful right now. Maybe it's in part also the debasement trade because you have precious up and now you have some of this catch up here with Bitcoin. But we talked with Blake this morning, and you mentioned kind of potential bear flag pattern. We'll keep an eye on that, and we'll see as the week progresses if crypto can really stay in there.
Yeah, it can get out of its own way. I think Larry called it a wild animal. It was a wild animal. I thought that was pretty accurate, especially if you've been holding through this downturn. Dollar. Let's talk about dollar for a second because it paired its gains. Like we saw some hold, like the metals did well and crypto held, but you saw some other assets came in strong in the morning and then seemed to pair some of their gains.
Yeah, I think the dollar is a big story and something definitely to watch throughout the week. I mean, we started with the overnight and into this morning with the dollar being, reasonably strong against kind of all currencies. And then we pointed out that we saw a sneaky rally in the yen as the morning progressed. And that rally in yen has continued through the day and kind of trading right now at 156 and change, kind of at the lows of the day for dollar yen. The euro weakness also is reversed. And now the euro is stronger on the day too. And similarly for other emerging market currencies like the peso and the real also have turned around too. So maybe some of the risk off potential from the Venezuela strikes is kind of abated and we're seeing some flows back in, or it's the FX markets kind of picking up on this idea that manufacturing ISM wasn't particularly great. We get services ISM later in the week. We get all the payroll data. Maybe there's some concern developing in the away from the AI story about the strength of the economy, and the dollar's picking up some of that negative growth differential perspective as well.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting as the week goes on. We are used to the Trump administration doing a lot of jawboning about where commodity prices are, where interest rates should be, Fed. The economy's been, they're not polling well on that. But now we have this geopolitical noise in there as well. So unclear where we're going to get comments that might move the markets. Maybe it's not just going to be about the economy anymore.
Yeah, I mean, the polling data has been pretty consistent, right? It's been bad and it's getting worse. And it accelerated to the downside really after the November elections when, we had the mini Democratic sweep in New York and Virginia and New Jersey. And, the administration has tried to come out and talk about affordability a little bit more. But it sounds a little bit tone deaf when the administration comes out and says it's a hoax, right? And so people know what they know. They know what their pocketbook is telling them. They see that real wages are not really picking up. We could see some of that in the JOLTS data too, right? The quits rate has really fallen. People are staying in their jobs longer. That means pricing power for labor is moving back to the corporates. And negative momentum on the wage front. People feel that anxiety and that angst, and then you throw on top of that AI and labor displacement that could be coming, down the pipeline, particularly for white collar workers. And there's some anxiety. I think that's the dichotomy and the disconnect you see between the risk assets and the consumer confidence polls, right? And we'll get another reading on that on Friday. UMich confidence comes out. It's been in the toilet for quite some time and really showing no signs of abating there too. So the administration is going to have to focus on that. Otherwise, it's going to be a shitstorm
Yeah.
come
It,
next November, I
and,
think.
and I think that focus, what does that look like? I think that has people, worried from a policy point of view. Someone bringing up earnings as well. I wonder if stocks are waiting on earnings starting in a week. Was something we'll talk about in the mornings since I'm with you all week. As a point of focus and, as we make our way through the econ data. But terrific stuff. Craig, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow and seeing all of you tomorrow. Good luck with the last hour and a half or so of trade. Hope it's been a profitable one for you. And Craig and I are going to hand it over to Nick and Jack to trade the close.
We're live. We're
All
on.
right, run right into it. I'm like, sometimes I don't know. I'm like, is there like a screen that needs to go ahead?
Yeah, I was ready to like, sit back in my chair, pull a Ron Burgundy, being like, I'm on now. I don't believe you, and just like lean back, light up a cigarette, and just go.
Hello. All right, man. Well, happy New Year to you. First time we're getting on here together in the new year, and we're probably going to be doing a whole lot more of it. So right now, I got some limits below us. You got any positions on?
Yeah, I got to be honest. I didn't trade today. This is the first time really coming in. My family's in town, or my parents actually came in town to see the little one. So we were doing stuff this morning. So I haven't taken a trade. It's kind of getting my lay of the land here. It looks like a very unproductive afternoon, more or less. So yeah, nothing I'm watching specifically, but I kind of am wondering, are we just going to continue to be kind of range bound here? Look for maybe longs off this area, the 560s to 550s to 560s, like kind of right where NQ is currently trading.
Yeah. I didn't trade this. I didn't trade till like the probably around like 10 or 11. But there was one thing I brought up last week, and it was interesting that of course the political developments over the week in the potential effect on oil. But last week, this channel I've been talking about for some time in here in oil. This was my best trade, but we were holding that midpoint of this channel, which was the first time, and we did it twice last week. We opened there Sunday night, and then Friday we traded it again. Of course, over the weekend we seem to have captured a president of Venezuela, and Venezuela's got a lot of oil, but there's been a great reaction. Even though you would think the Venezuelan oil being potentially brought to American markets, although that's going to be down the line, would push the price of oil lower. In fact, it has pushed it higher. So I'm going to continue on my bull thesis here in oil and just looking for entries. So that's something I'm watching tomorrow, to just as an overall change of pace from what we've seen. I don't really have an entry set up here. I want to get long near this support zone if we can retest this 10 o'clock support, but I don't think that's going to happen today. But I will be looking at in the Asian session. As far as indexes go, we're coming into what I have as the midpoint for the day at 25,530, 535 is the exact level. I got an order at 3675, 3675, which is a bit of a front run of that midpoint, just a point or so, and back at the lows from this morning. So we'll see if we can pause there. I mean, we got enough time left to do something. All day today, this area has been found as support. So that's really like my main thoughts right now. Crypto ripping higher. I'm probably going to be looking to trade Bitcoin back to the upside if we don't stall out here. I don't know if do you ever watch Bitcoin, Nick?
Only when it's like really moving. I have yet to actively trade it in any account that matters. Like when micro Bitcoin got a little hot and we were moving, call it 3 to 5% in any given like RTH session. Like I played around with it in a sim prop account, but I've never actively traded it. And everyone who's heard me joke about this story before, it goes back to me fumbling the bag that was Bitcoin in the kind of 2014 time frame.
Yeah, I feel like everybody alive during that time frame has some form of, oh, should have bought it, could have, would have bought it. But to be honest, first time I ever really heard of Bitcoin, it was like definitely using Silk Road. It was drug dealers.
So, Jack, that's kind of why I didn't care, because that's how I was paid when I was in college.
I'm not going to ask you what you were paid for, but
but my winnings were paid out from offshore gambling books via Bitcoin,
okay.
And I immediately didn't know what it was and just deposited it to USD because that would make sense for any 21-year-old kid in college.
Totally. Oh yeah, no, I'm sure you've probably already ran the math in your head. How many, how
I
much
don't, I
money?
don't, I don't want to really think about it
Yeah, we
anymore.
won't do the math again. You know what the math is. Don't tell us.
Yep.
Yeah, I feel the same way, except I accidentally gave away about $250,000 Pokemon cards.
Oh,
Yeah.
oddly enough, my parents moved out of our like childhood home into a new place and they still had them. And my brother was like, hey, do not throw those away. And he's going to have them, whatever's left of them, appraised by somebody that he knows that is a card guy. So I'm actually curious and I look forward to telling everybody that story if they are completely worthless or if there are some gems from the early to mid 90s, first editions and stuff.
Yeah, I think we're probably around the same age, so most likely similar cultural, pop cultural upbringings, at least playing with the same things. But yeah, I same thing. Parents moved out of childhood home, got to get rid of all the stuff. Don't have a room anymore, you know. And the guy who was moving my parents out, you know, I just said he was a really nice guy, or you know, he had a couple of young kids, and I had conversated with him, and I was like, you know, he told me his kid liked Pokemon. I was like, would your kid like these? And I just hope, you know, because it's, you know, just a wage worker, you're probably making $20 an hour. I just hope he found those cards and sold them and paid for his kid's college, and his kid didn't, you know, get rid of them. That's my like positive karma that I tell myself. I'm like, yeah, he needed it more than I did.
Yeah.
But yeah, get those quoted. Get back to me on that. Alrighty then. Nope, no fill here on my NASDAQ. Didn't quite get down to where I wanted us to. Hope we do. Hope we do. Yeah, no trading for you here today. That's way to start the new year with the fam.
Yeah, it just didn't make sense. We went to, you know, when you have a 13-month-old and you do things in small windows that she's awake and not fussy. So we did a quick morning session at the zoo with my parents. So we did that and a couple other things, but yeah, got to spend some time with everybody.
I did some touristy stuff as well. I went to, for the first time ever, which I can actually see from my house, the sky deck for the Sears Tower, as the Chicagoans call it, or the Willis Tower.
Oh, is that like glass thing? Or it's
Yep.
like you kind of, oh yeah, that's cool.
Did that here this weekend because I had a friend in town that wanted to do some touristy stuff.
I'm gonna jump in long here. Maybe.
Get it.
It fills me. All right. I'm in one. I may add if this gets stopped out because I kind of like I said when I was coming on air, I like this little 560s kind of area.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
On the first test at 115, I got long right here at this exact area, which was 25,575 was my entry on that first bounce there at 120. Yeah. So, I mean, I like this area too. I was just hoping we get a little lower, but where we held.
Yeah, ES bouncing off kind of where it did too, giving me a little confidence to try this, see what happens. But I kind of like this down into the 540s. So I may like re-enter if I get stopped out here. I don't love my entry, but
the 42.5 was a level I was debating in the ES, but I just went with that lower. But we're so low vol right now.
Yeah.
Average true range for the NASDAQ that I have is 21 points. That's an absolute crawl for the NQs. ES is 4. But I like the location. I think you could at least get a bounce back up to that most recent swing high here. We also have I would call that an ATR reversal, where that bar on the low in the NASDAQ was an expansionary bar on the average true range, and we've immediately got back up it in the current 5-minute candle that we're in, which slows 2 minutes to close, is an expansionary bar as well on the average true range. So for us to hit a new low and then immediately ATR back up, I like it. Pull up the chat. What's up, chat? I haven't looked at the chat yet here today.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everybody. Everybody trade today? Everybody have fun? Everyone playing around with silver still? Hopefully not blowing accounts.
Yeah, that was another big move up what, 8% I saw earlier. Now it's up 7.
It just continues to kind of whipsaw 8% every session. Got long ES. Yeah, ES is kind of weird today. NQ kind of being a true more balanced session, if you will. ES kind of still sitting. Well, we guess we just did lose that little node, but for the most part, it was pretty bid in the pre-market and out of the gate.
The question to me, once price hits my level, do you immediately enter? So if I have a limit order out there, I'm immediately entering. I mean, assuming my limit gets filled. Yeah, there is sometimes in a faster paced market where maybe we'll come really close to where I'm wanting to enter. I wouldn't say, I'll have levels, of course, like anybody else would, but I would say most of the time, if I'm trusting of the level, I just will go out and play the limit. There'll be some things that'll maybe make me cancel that limit order, some price action moving into that, or like the way we set up, like if we come 5 points away from my level, then we spend an hour consolidating and then we trade back down and we're going to be taking out a low after trading an hour. I'm probably going to pull my limit order because we now have stops that people are most likely placing below that low that is going to push it through where I was initially anticipating. As far as compares, I mean, you make anything of the gold, copper, silver all going crazy. I don't know why I would compare a market going up to a market crash as far as it being exaggerated. Also, it's for a long time, silver has been, I mean, the all-time high before this breakout in silver was $50. And that was like, I want to say like in the 70s. I'm not sure. It was when the Hunt brothers cornered the silver market. There's a long story about that. But if you think about the price of just really everything else related to inflation, the fact that silver has not really gone, it's not that expensive, relatively speaking to what it was historically and where it is now. So I think that its market's just playing catch up. There's always games getting played in the silver market. There's always games getting played in the commodity market amongst the bullion banks. There's literally been prosecutions because of that. And sometimes I think, when those games end, you get an adjustment to the upside. I believe that the price of silver has probably been surprised for a really long time and that the market's just catching up. And I mean, these are industrial, like, I mean, people use copper. Copper is used in a lot more things than gold is. So copper rallying, I'm not fully understanding of all of the fundamentals, but I don't compare it to any crashes yet because we're not there. We're not there yet. We really haven't even, 150% move is not that big of a move for something that's gone sideways for, really years and decades. But when it turns, it'll be fun to trade. The volatility either way is, anything that's moving fast is easier to trade because it gives you opportunities to have like multiple R trades. Like when the market's moving slow, it's very hard to get a 1 to 5, risk 1 to make 5. Like, how are you going to do that? But when a market's expanding in its range, like silver is now, you have a better opportunity of getting a multiple return on your risk.
What's gold doing? Nothing.
Yeah. I took a short in gold earlier, right at 11.55, but it didn't last long and basically sold off the biggest move during the regular trading hours session, at least for 10 minutes. And then it's gone totally and completely sideways.
It really does seem like the overnight has all the fun with metals half the time. And then RTH, you're just left holding the bag and hoping that you get a move again.
Yeah. Friday's session was interesting because, when, like you said, the overnight entire move up, RTH brought it back in. Once again, overnight, the majority of the move up in gold. So if you're in Asia or in another country and you like to trade those hours, you're probably going to want to gravitate those markets as opposed to the indexes.
checking in from 33,000 feet.
Where are you
Well, I
flying?
wish you a safe flight. And of course, the Lord and Savior of Spy himself, Jensen Huang, is currently giving his, I guess, keynote at CES. So, who knows what may happen with NQ here?
Is he speaking right now? You said.
Yeah, apparently he's his thing is starting up any minute now. But yeah, we are just kind of sleepwalking here.
You know what the mover is today, though? The Russell. That thing was
Oh yeah, look at the Rusty.
beaten to the end of the year. And today cruising up a whopping 1 point, outpacing the NASDAQ by a full percent, which is not often that you see the Russell outpace the NQ by a full percentage point. Just, I will be looking at that tomorrow. I want, if we get back to like a 25.48, we're so far stretched out here in the Russell that I wouldn't be doing anything but shorting it up here. But I also don't want to short it because first day of asset allocation, that makes sense to me, you know, kind of buying the weaker index day one as portfolios adjust. Here goes the NASDAQ for you.
Yeah, let's see if we can pop back up to
I'm gonna get long. Yes.
I mean, ideally the overnight view off is at 605s and change. I mean, I wouldn't object to that. I'm not really looking for a whole lot of anything here today. Maybe like 615.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of the base. I guess that's point of control too. Like just the base of this little consolidation from kind of post Euro close. I'd be happy with. But yeah, first day of the year. Can't make all the points in one session. I know it's not the first day of the year, but it's the first day I've traded of 2026.
It's basically the first day of the year, trading wise,
Yeah.
at least. I think.
But of course,
Last
I wasn't even at my desk really on Friday, but we had a nice day for Chris and XY to trade post packs. I don't know if you watched them trade on Friday, but yeah, they had I mean, that was a fun session, a fun morning session, excuse me, to jump into. I swear, when we get like liquidation days like that, or I guess liquidation type moves, it's always those two I feel like that are in the driver's seat on a Friday or something.
Yeah, I didn't watch their session, but that was a wicked fast move down lower past 10 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
Nice faker up to the upside, barely made new highs in the ES. I think we, you know, as soon as we reversed down through that open, it was just lights out all day down for the morning session.
That like same spot too. We just continued at the very least around 25,000 like 800s. That there's been a seller continuing kind of reoffer there. I feel like the last week, 2 weeks ish, like there's just been somebody kind of hanging out there in the 770s to 800s.
Yeah. Nat gas taking a beating here today. It's down 10%. Or no, it's down 10% over the last 5 days. What am I talking about? Still down pretty heavy though.
Not even this can't get out of bed. Yes, we are in fact looking like it's going to be a classic afternoon Nick range. You're welcome for me killing volatility. You guys know the play would be to sell vol the second I show my face on camera, as is tradition. What are the best prop firms? I mean, there's a couple out there in the space that are doing the right thing. I think we've talked about it before. I'm a fan of Lucid. I mean, Tradeify is doing good things, but there's plenty of good ones out there, and plenty of bad ones.
The thing is, they all have such different rules. You really have to
Mm-hmm.
decide what your personality is gonna fit, and then it's become a little more democratized than when the space first began, because anybody who denies or plays games from the prop firm side, I think, really feels the backlash against their business and the trust that they lose
Sure.
if they play games, compared to when it was like 2 years ago even. um but yeah, I think the biggest, the end of day or intraday trailing drawdown is going to be the biggest differential between the
Yeah,
firms. And
that's
then
that's what I would say. If you're curious or you haven't traded them, make sure you trade with one that is doing an end of day type drawdown. There's no point in shooting yourself in the foot or act trading at a disadvantage with a live trailing profit drawdown, which is not going to help anybody. It doesn't make you a better trader.
no, it does not make you a better trader. And at the end of the day, all of these firms are incentivized to have losing traders. That's part of their business model. And that's okay. You have to understand it, but you got to ask yourself, what am I going to do to make myself, the taker and not the giver from these opportunities? And I think a lot of it is just taking it slow. Don't be the one day to pass, or like the consistency rule really shouldn't be a big deal. Um, like if you got to, because if you're trying to pass in one day, I mean, of course, can it be done? Yes. But I think you're putting yourself up as like bad risk rule management. So you want to be trading it like how you're going to trade it when you go live, and then, you know, don't push past that. But I would say if you've never passed a prop firm, probably just go with the cheapest option and get a 50K account. Don't go spendy on the 100s or the 150s or the 250s, or just get the cheapest thing and work on getting one payout at a time, and then work your way up. But don't get in the habit of busting out your credit card and just ringing up multiple accounts trying to get a fat payout and quit your job week one. It's not going to happen.
For the love of God, do not quit your job if you are only making money trading prop firms. That is exactly the definition of amazing supplemental income to your 9 to 5. You've been able to do that in theory with trading props, not risking your own money in theory, and you've gotten payouts and you're still working a job. Keep doing that. I don't wish this life on anybody. I'm gonna get stopped out of my little guy here, aren't I? Driver trades. I mean, yeah, you can quit your job after maybe 2 weeks, not a week, maybe 2 weeks.
Better have some income. You just don't want to be put in a position where you're absolutely forced to make money on a weekly basis to meet some type of bill threshold that you have, because
Yeah.
that's going to put pressure on you to maybe over trade or revenge trade, as opposed to actually letting a system play out.
What a snooze of a session.
Did we expect anything different? I mean,
No.
I think there'll be in the last 15 minutes, a big move. That's my guess. We're going to sit here into the last 15 minutes, maybe start making soup or something.
Hopefully the vol ticks up here in the coming days.
Man, Bitcoin is. I might trade some. I'm kind of missing away from my entry though. If Bitcoin holds above this 94 level though, I think it's got a pretty clear shot up to like 98s, 99s.
We may or may not move. Remember, I'm on stream. Yes, that is absolutely correct. And especially because I'm trying to salvage some aspect of some points out of today for some reason. So naturally, yeah, we're probably just gonna meander down here.
It's holding. It's holding. It's not going anywhere yet. It's going to be one of those time things. We've held that low for going on 25 minutes, I think. Just need to take out a high.
What time is that on Saturday?
Let's see here. I'm going to take a look at this Bitcoin chart.
3 o'clock. Dang.
You can see, I pulled up this Bitcoin chart here. Look at this daily chart here in Bitcoin. We really, once we cleared gap up overnight, and then just a continuation, if we can crack through, the top of this range here, which it looks like we're going to, this is some serious momentum, beginning of the year, multi-week consolidation, a breakthrough here, we can get all the way back up to, I'm thinking. Oh yeah. Get all the way back up to this 100K level. That's really, once we cleared through these highs all the way back up to 100K. So this is going to be something I'm going to be paying attention to overnight and in the next few days. And I'm going to be drawing a fib. So we'll drawing tool. We're going to get a fib retracement. I'm going to be taking this high here from the morning at like 6 a.m. And I'm going to be drawing that to whatever the all-time high is. But you can see we came down into that 50 from the current high here. And we've bounced. Once we've completed this target, I'll draw this again to whatever that new high is. But that'll be the trade I'm looking for. It's just not set up for me yet. Once we make that new high above 95,200. But index is picking back up. I'm in with you, Nick. I'm just in the ES.
Yeah. But your Bitcoin thing there though, Jack apparently calling for everyone move over as far as Moonvember. It is now Jet Set January. Apparently, it's finally time. I can't think of a better adjective for all of our holders out there.
Yeah, I am not a maximalist by any means. I'm just a technical analyst. When things move, I like to trade them.
Yeah, I just, the crypto space is just a whole another beast. And every once in a while, when my Twitter feed, I guess, somehow finds the lowest points that is crypto Twitter, it just makes me laugh reading some of this stuff.
Oh my gosh, yeah, no, they are some of the most. I think crypto maximalists or Bitcoin maximalists are some of the most uninformed price action traders are, because their only strategy is it goes up, and you just have to hold. Which, I mean, if you did that, but then again, that's the type of mentality that I guess if you wrote it from 2011 at 70 cents or whatever, because I would never do that. I couldn't.
A few, I don't know, man. In the tens of millions, I think I'm selling and retiring and living off the interest and just kind of enjoying my life. Like I probably would have exited relatively early and just moved on with other moved to other investments in theory. Like I'd be like, great, I just made that much money. This is a stupid thing that I never really understood in the first place. And yeah, I will rely on something I do believe in, I guess, at the end of the day, which is the rest of the stock market over time.
Yeah, I feel you. I saw a Bitcoin transaction wallet. It was like a 14-year hold, and the total cost basis was like $7,800, and the exit was 1.1 billion. Like what?
Crazy, absolutely crazy.
Just one click. It was like a joke because it wasn't even a test transaction. He just shot out the full port. Not even like, let's move 100 million at a time and double check it. Like, I would be so scared to hit that button.
Mm-hmm.
I could look at that wallet address 15 times and still think that, man, if I mess this up, I'm going to
Yeah, it wouldn't be good.
I don't know, how do you live with yourself?
I don't know. I'm gonna go scratch stop now on this because if it comes back, I don't really want to be in this trade anymore. Seeing as how buyers have kind of stepped in here, and let's see if they get any sort of reaction back up towards the overnight view up, which would be this little squiggly line here.
Yeah. Can we make a couple $100? That's what we're trying to do, right? Just make a couple $100.
Yeah, as like we said, first day of the year for me. Not looking for home runs, not expecting home runs either. I think the best trade of the day was probably, I mean, that 660. I think we were, I mean, it was XY and I were talking about that 660, 670 area. I feel like several times in the last like 2 weeks. Yeah, I did use that as a bit of I had it marked as at least a little bit of a support and resistance kind of area. So not shocked that we had a nice little sell off there. That was probably the trade of the day. And then I would have not still been sitting at my desk had you caught a portion of that. But still, I'll take a couple $100 and move on to the next session here.
Yep. Yeah, it's either that or you're holding into close, hoping for that asset allocation first day, first like full week of the year. Because it's not like anybody was doing large allocations on Friday. I would think. I mean, of course, maybe there's some people are, but it made me think. I had a friend call me who needed to sell some stock, but really didn't even know how to do it before the end of the year. And I was like, oh yeah, this is like retail, like, I don't know, capturing losses or moving things around. And they wait till the last day of the year to do it because their accountant calls them and tells them, hey, you need to offset this gain, and they do it in mass.
Nick, can you explain your trade? Why were you looking for longs? Yeah, ES held basically what is the SPX 6900 level. And I'm not basing that off any sort of options activity that I was seeing. I just saw we held a spot, same thing that I kind of have marked and I'm always watching, as well as kind of was looking for this to stay as more of a balanced range bound day here in the NQ, which is why, you can see like the value area low has continued to hold. Like even these little attempts to break lower that I was sitting in and not getting stopped out, like we held the session's value area low here at 564. So just kind of was playing for that rotation of value, and the reason still kind of potentially looking to cover in this like 615 to let's call it 630 type area. So just a simple like mean reversion stupidity kind of trade here, but I like it. I think this is a more range bound session, and the fact that ES and SPX held that spot kind of on the, I guess ES be like the 41s, 42s and change. Larger option strike that's just going to be sitting there for at least the current week, more or less. Yeah, kind of just leaning into that as well. Hey, Salma. Good afternoon.
Hey, Salma.
Salma, I think I'm on with you tomorrow. Maybe. I don't know. My schedule's all weird. Not weird this week, but I can't remember who I'm with. Yes. I will be trading with Salma tomorrow morning.
Yeah, if I'm looking for a move that I'm gonna be a little more greedy with this. I'm gonna give this bar this anytime we start moving up and out of a range. So like at 310, that's kind of when we got a little more confidence in our longs. You're out or you're still in? Yeah, I'm gonna give that like I'm gonna map that out. That it's 305 bar.
Yeah, I mean if we can pop this little 600 spot on NQ, I would imagine we rotate back to this this little area. Oh, you can't see that. This little guy. This consolidation here, kind of post-hero close. Would not be shocked. There's a little LVN here on the session too. The 640s, like, would not be surprised if that's kind of where we settle at least until end period. But of course, they're probably going to stomp on my dreams and just reoffer right here at the 24-hour view up.
If you tell them to, they will.
I don't want them to. That would be mean. First real trade of 2026. You're just going to shatter my will to trade on the first day of the year.
Oh, one day could never shatter your will to trade. If one day shatters your will to trade, you're just screwed. My will would have been shattered so many times by now.
I just keep getting up even when I take stupid trades and they don't work out. And then I sit there, I'm like, what? That's the same kind of dumb trade that you always yell at yourself for taking.
Yeah.
And here you go. You just lost $1,000 taking a stupid trade. And you usually take this trade and it's usually wrong. But for some reason, I'm like, this time for sure. No, usually doesn't. It's those boredom trades that you just throw on because you want to feel something.
Fair. I am
on a longer time frame. Today's price action on NQ is a fake out, and we're looking bearish. Yeah, I mean, we continue at least on like the 4-hour post like Christmas. We continue to make like lower highs and are continuing to test lower prices. So, I mean, we'll see. I'm leaning. I'm pretty neutral right now, and I'm usually can be easily swayed bearish, but I'm pretty neutral currently. Just with the early parts of January here, I'm not looking to get too bared up. After we get through kind of the, funds, like Jack was talking about, allocation and things, these early couple days, Monday, Tuesday into Wednesday, as things settle down, if there's if there becomes a large seller or a motivated seller on the books, then I'm happily will buy in that. Maybe we'll go take out those November lows. But until then, nah. Nick, the red and green histogram, I think you mean red and blue. Sorry, I just lost it. To the right of your candles, what is the name of the indicator and how do you set up? So this is just a delta profile. Basically just a leg to leg volume profile that resets and just is giving me the delta based on a specific tick value that I look at. So it's, you would need the order flow edition, but this one is actually custom built by the team at OFL. For this leg to leg, but otherwise, I don't know off the top of my head if the order flow volume profile on NinjaTrader, if you can customize it to, you're not customize it, but if you can quickly adjust the settings to do delta by price off the top of my head. But if not, yeah, this is a indicator from OFL that's been custom built for Ninja.
Is that a subscription to the OFL, or is that a one-time, or is it free?
It is a subscription, but someone just told me in the chat you can do delta by price on Ninja. So I think you can set it up yourself. This one, just the leg to leg would be the custom part then, where based on specific rotations here in ES and NQ, it's going to automatically redraw this volume profile as well as this delta profile. Yeah, so you can get one, it's just not going to reset. Yeah, that would be the custom code aspect. So I used to, when I was first starting out and I was learning how to use order flow, like I didn't have a leg to leg, because even Leo and the guys at OFL, like they hadn't done this yet. The leg to leg was not something was as active or something that we actively use. So I just had a session, or multiple session delta buy prices that I would just kind of have stacked. And it got a little messy, so I'm thankful that they built this, because I would have a total session and then I would potentially kind of redraw one periodically. Just to kind of look at it in a smaller time frame. But yes, it is a paid subscription, but they have actually released a bunch of free tools as well. So if you were to check out the OFL website, there's a freemium edition that has a number of different free tools, MGI information, stuff that you can auto plot on there. So yeah, check that out too. But yeah, this is a very helpful way that I like to look at and read, like absorption, initiation, exhaustion. Like you can start to understand these things in conjunction with time and sales and other things you're probably looking at, but it just kind of helps paint the whole picture. And as you're kind of watching the auction on a shorter time frame in real time, just allows you to kind of see that, like on an excess low or something, like you see it on time and sales, and then you see the kind of the total delta there on those price points too. It just gives you that indication that we might be seeing a reversal here. That might have been an exhaustive kind of push, lower or higher, and potentially give you the confidence to enter in with longs here. I don't love that we continue to just sit around VWAP here and are not doing anything. Hey, Firmament. Thoughts on going funded versus rotating accounts and chasing payouts? I mean,
just keep your
as,
account alive. I mean,
yeah, it depends, because people fall into that trap of like, hey, they get a payout and then they just are churning accounts, and then they get another payout and they're basically break even because they are just continuing to buy and churn set accounts repeatedly. But yeah, I got a payout. Well, did you though? You really are just kind of at a wash. And at that point, are you really learning anything, or are you just trying to get a payout as fast as possible? So longevity is still important, but yeah, if there's money on the table and you can take a payout, pay yourself. 100% always pay yourself. But there's nothing wrong with, I think firms now are a little happier with you building balances, because there's more that they are trying to actually push you to be live and trade, their real money on exchange. So, I think in the past they try to just, the rules were a little less friendly, where it made sense just to try to milk as much as from a payout perspective as possible. But now, you can actually dip your toe in the live market that you're not necessarily funding yourself and risking blowing. So it just gives you a little more guardrails. I think being live with some of these firms versus you throwing 10, 20 grand in a personal account with no rules, no risk management, and potentially blowing it up in a day or two or a week. So nothing wrong with that. Take it slow.
And a lot of these firms, I mean, they basically force you to go live with some of the money, because they want an opportunity to maybe make some of that back by, I don't know, like Top Step. What is it? You got to be live for like 30 days, and then some of them else. I mean, just if you get live on one, sure. Why would you just keep the money in there? Just keep the money in there, and maybe add more props on something else if you want. But if you're just going from one to the next, it's, I mean, there's a bunch of different ways that I've seen people successfully do it. I've seen people absolutely crush it just on live, and then there's people that have actually crushed it, via Apex, because Apex basically pays out the most from what I've seen, but it's also the hardest to get paid because of that intraday trailing drawdown and now that 30% rule.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think a lot of them firm it. You're right. They're pushing everybody to go live a little more quickly, which is a good thing. But yes, the churning the churning days are coming to an end. And this is from somebody that's been live with several firms over the last couple of years. But yeah, now I'm just really enjoying trading my own money.
hit that wire button whenever you want.
Exactly. Not feeling like I have to trade every day either, which has been a nice mental change. I feel like that was always something, the trap you fall in, where like I would, because it's not my money in theory, like I'll throw on a potentially a dumber trade or just at a time or whatever. Like I'll just throw on a trade because it's a prop account. It's live, it's real money, or it's a funded account that I can get a payout on, but I'm much less risk adverse, I feel like, with those as I am my own money, as far as putting a trade on for the sake of putting a trade on. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see a problem with going live. I don't think, unless you're trading a couple hundred lots, or like 50 and above, you really, and it doesn't really make a huge difference unless you're a hyper scalper, which I'm not. So if you're a good trader, your live fills are not going to make that big of a difference between a sim fill. Most of the times, price is trading through. But if you're market ordering constantly and that's all you're doing and you're taking very small trades, like, yeah, there's going to be a slight cost to that. But if you're trading a couple lots, you don't even have to worry about it.
Any opinion on Apteros trading or similar firms? I don't. I've never used it, but Merritt will be on tomorrow. You can ask him any and all questions regarding that firm. Yeah, I've never played around with them, but feel free to tune in tomorrow morning because he'll be trading, and I'm sure he'll happily field any Apteros questions. Nick or Jack, what were things that helped break you out of break-even trading into profitable trading? I think for me, it took time, and I just think that for me was I had a lot of people that were willing to kind of help me in the early stages and tell me some things that I was doing was stupid, but I had a lot of good mentors. And I think once I started actually like listening and actually putting, I think, things that I was reading and things into practice and actually holding myself accountable, suddenly things like clicked. The second I stopped, like, for example, just giving money back during Globex, like just simple things that not only can obviously allow you to give money and points back to the market, but if let's say I took a Globex trade for no reason and I lost $500 at night, I'm also thinking about that going to the next session. So once I started to trade less or try to trade less and not, they feel like I needed to be in the market at all times, the P&L curve changed dramatically for me. As well as I think I was always 1 foot in, 1 foot out in this game, where I was constantly still looking to go back to, 9 to 5, go back to big tech and use that as, my real income, and always knowing that trading could be supplemental for me. I think once I kind of gave the logic of that reality is probably not going to happen anymore, at least in the way that I want it to. And I kind of accepted that, and actually, I think, allowed myself to continue to learn and really kind of stand on my own 2 feet in the space. Things just naturally kind of happened and manifested. And I think at that same time, I started doing this publicly around the same point. And I think that made me hold myself accountable a little more than even I was doing in the dark room alone. Just that level of being some aspect of a public space, even in the prop space that I was, I think just made me grow up in this game a little bit faster than I think the average person does.
Yeah, I think that's a really good answer. For me, it was just reflecting upon what is causing me to be like I wasn't really ever break even on a day, right? It would be a few good days, and then I'd find some way to screw it up. And it wasn't because I didn't feel like I didn't know how to trade. It was because I felt like I didn't know either when to stop trading, revenge trading, things like that. So I just dove into my data and got real with the things that were causing me outsized losses. So losses that are harder to come back from. We're all going to have losses. We're all going to have losing days. But what are the behavioral patterns that occur during the days that, take you out, that you blow an account, that, remove your chips from the table? And for me, those days came from hyper fixating or over trading a trend day. And so I eliminated the possibility of over trading a trend day by setting a rule, which only matters if you stick to it, that if I have 2 losses in a row in the same direction of the same market, I eliminate that market from the rest of my trading day. Doesn't mean I have to stop trading because I trade multiple markets. But if I'm going short the NASDAQ and I lose, and I'm going short the NASDAQ again and I lose, I just stop trading the NASDAQ for the day. Which is fine because it allows me. But there's been situations where, you just somehow lose your marbles. It's like you black out, and maybe you trade the NASDAQ with 1 contract, you lose, you go to 2, you lose, and then maybe you do 3, and you try to get back, and then all of a sudden you're down a significant more amount of your capital that you ever intended to. So one, I stay consistent in my size and my risk per trade, no matter what market class I'm trading. There is a little bit of a deviation between that, but I never have 5x the risk on one trade than I do in another trade, even if I'm switching markets. And if I do, it's a mistake and I get out of that mistake. So eliminating the variance in any individual trade, and then eliminating the chances of a multiple loss in the same market. So ask yourself what is, and it's different from every trader, what is, there's 3 things that are going to cause outsized losses, and it's increasing your size, increasing your stop, or increasing your number of occurrences outside the norm. And if you can avoid just that, then it's a matter of you to actually have an edge in your trading. This OF really throws me off. The OF trading. I'm like, wait, what? What are we talking about?
Order flow.
This is a kid show, ladies and gentlemen.
Gets me too. Was I an order flow trader from the start? If not, what's trading styles? I was not. I didn't really understand what order flow was. For a long time, like everything I was doing when I first started trading futures was MGI. Like I was looking at different levels in the market that I thought were important. So it's something as simple as what I guess that, and then that evolved into me discovering volume profile and kind of utilizing that as over different time frames of my MGI and how market behaves around, or I guess not behaves, but how reactions can occur at low volume nodes, high volume nodes, points of control. Like I used that for a little bit, and then got exposed to mentors that were using order flow and could articulate it in a way that made sense to me. Met Leo and some of the other guys at OFL, and then it took a long time for me to actually understand what I was seeing and what I was reading. Because it can be a lot of noise, but I was definitely not doing this from the start. And the confidence and kind of reacting based on what I'm seeing now compared to even probably a year or 2 years ago is night and day. And that's because same thing, you spend time with good traders, and it's one of the reasons I like trading with like XY and other people too. It's just like you see someone else's interpretation of the same information that I'm looking at, because we have very similar DOMs and times and sales and things. And then in the back of my mind, thinking about what I'm seeing, and then you see him then articulate it. And like I said, he may read something very different than how I do it, but we're looking at the same data, it kind of reaffirms that confidence and that I'm actually visually seeing what I'm seeing, and my brain is telling me, okay, I would react this way. So it just takes time and muscle memory of that kind of pattern recognition. But no, I was not really I would not call myself an order flow trader when I was starting.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would probably start with order flow because it's a more sophisticated form of analysis. You know,
Yeah,
I started with
keep it
penny
simple.
stocks,
like that's why I think just I was using like basic MGI, and I'm talking like previous days, high and low, previous day close, like things like that. That is very much on any platform can just that'll auto populate there because people have built simple indicators for it or it exists already. Just things like that. And then trading a very simple strategy. Well, if we are holding above previous day high, previous day close, I should probably be looking to join alongside with longs in that situation as we are building above the previous day's structure. Like just simple concepts like that made sense to me when I was starting. And then it continued to evolve from there. I don't know. After reading so many books and talking to traders, like I always felt like aspects of volume can tell you everything you need to know about what, and you don't necessarily know how much or what is actually based on that volume, but a lot of participants are interested at certain price points or certain times a day and things like that, or reactions based on data or news. Like I just I tended to just try to follow, I guess the the larger gathering of participants is probably the way I could describe it. It's like anything else. We are very, very small fish in this pond, in this ocean. And I will happily take the scraps that are left behind from the sharks at institutions, I guess.
getting boosted. People like us, Nick.
That's nice. So if you guys do like it, if you are enjoying the stream, please do hit the thumbs up button. Show us your support. It helps more people find us, find the stream, hang out with us here in the afternoons. We always love everybody chilling with us, winding down their trading session, their work day. If you are hiding this browser, your YouTube browser somewhere as you're working your 9 to 5, sitting in the office, listening to us via AirPods, we appreciate you being here and help more people find us by making sure you are liking the stream as well as subscribe to the channel.
And tell your friends.
Yeah.
That are getting into trading. That's so cool to think about, like all of the educational resources. I'm not kidding. I started trading in 2008 and I was on like blogs, like, and futures were not even anywhere near as popular as they are today. Weekly options didn't exist, let alone dailies. The micro futures did not exist. And now there's a lot of stuff out there, but also NinjaTrader gives the opportunity to really center a lot of great traders and be an authority in the space of some place you can go and learn from a lot of different people that are great at what they do. And I appreciate NinjaTrader for the opportunity, but also more importantly, you guys as the viewers allow NinjaTrader to give this opportunity to us. So if we're helpful to you, share it.
Yeah, I think that's the good mentors I had. I think a lot of them were not looking for anything monetarily from me. They offered their time. And that's one of the reasons I enjoy doing this too, is just, I pay it forward. Anybody that DMs me, shoots me a message, whatever, ask questions in the chat. I'm happy to walk through whatever it is, pay it back. That's the best way to learn. And I think when I was starting, there wasn't this type of thing. Like the ones that were on YouTube and other places, they're very much, they were selling you something, whether you knew it or not. So it's good that you guys, we're continuing to build a good community of folks here to hang out with and learn from too. But like anything else, I'm not the best trader. Jack's probably not the best trader, but we're also just kind of showing you guys the raw realism that exists in this journey too.
Yeah. Yeah, I know some really good traders and they are complete ghosts.
Oh yeah.
Like kids my age worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Retail traders that started with like $20,000 that are just ripping yachts all the time. I wish they won't even tell me what they do. They're just my friends, but they don't even talk trading to me. Timmy's. I definitely knew who Timothy Sykes is. I never took any of their courses, but um, no, I got into trading because I used to read the Forbes 500, and I would go down the list of every single one of those super wealthy people and try to figure out what they did for a living. And I realized that all of their wealth was tied to stocks. So then I like was mowing lawns at the time as a 15-year-old kid does to get money. And I gave my dad like $200 and bought like the Google IPO and have been doing it ever since. My future wife has never been to a Cubs game. Is this an imaginary person or is this a real person? She's
She
so
is
busy.
so busy and a Disney legend and a Grammy recipient.
Yeah, is this a real person?
Name that celebrity,
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
I don't know who that would be, but somebody probably in the chat does.
My future wife. I manifest too.
Does she know this?
Yeah, does she know you're her future husband? Oh yeah. My future wife is so busy I haven't met her.
She's a rascal out there.
I know who Oliver Velez is, but I don't follow him closely. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good quote. Real estate is probably the easiest way to compound wealth over time, but it's definitely easier than trading. But there's no way if you're a great trader versus a great real estate investor. One of my favorite quotes is there's more money than brains in finance. And it goes something like this. It's like the highest paid doctors are neurosurgeons, and the top 1% of neurosurgeons make, $10 million a year. The highest paid job in finance is a hedge fund manager, and the top 1% of hedge fund managers make an average of $500 million a year. Now, those numbers might be slightly off, but you get the point. Thank you, Power Systems. Power System Operations. It's a great name. Power System Operations is probably a good way to approach trading. I have flattened my yes here just because we're not going anywhere. I'd like for like a tick or two. I don't remember where I got filled, but
I mean, I'm scratched +1, so I'm gonna just hold this.
yeah, you have a little more space than I did.
I'll hold this for, I mean, through MOC. Like, I don't care. We're gonna, nothing bad. I don't think anything bad's gonna happen with me having a stop in profit at this point. But famous last words. Yeah, just a one guy. If it comes back and gets me, it comes back and gets me. We move on to tomorrow. We have barely moved this whole session.
Yeah, since we've been on, I think we've moved like 20 points in the NASDAQ. No, that low right after we got on was the biggest move, but even so, we've gone nowhere 30 minutes.
But just given, me being a more volume profile trader, us potentially, like what I was looking for, obviously, us rotating back up to this little spot would be like the most I would hope for right now.
I'm gonna stand up.
Just kind of test this little LVN that's sitting there, possibly get the value rotation there. Wait, yeah, that wasn't pretty. I shut it off and then I put it back on the fourth quarter, but they did not. I was sitting there telling my wife too, because I think it started at like 8 o'clock our time. And I was ready to go to bed by halftime, seeing as how we were down like 21-0. But it's just after watching the quarterfinal games for the college football playoff, like the day before, I'm like, I don't care at all about my college playing in the Holiday Bowl against SMU. It just did not do anything to me. But I actually am potentially going to try to go to the game since we are still number one in basketball currently. Try to go to the game at TCU this weekend. See my boys play.
Yeah, my friends that make tens of millions of dollars, that I know what they trade. A lot of them trade small caps, but they only, like, my one friend is basically retired and he only trades markets where he really feels like he has an extreme edge. So he's very selective and basically is only looking for like 10x bets. But he made a lot of money during the 2021 bull run, and was also, these guys all live in Puerto Rico, so they don't pay taxes on cap gains, so they're able to compound a little faster.
Maybe see, I see people do that, and maybe it's just me. I'd rather continue to funnel money through businesses, revenue generating assets, cash flow generating assets, and then finance my life. I think that's the way I would probably rather do it than go live in a tax haven.
I mean, I think it depends really on how much money you're making a year and how long you want to work. Like if you can have like a 5 to 10 year run where you just go suck it up and do it, and you're ripping down, like if you're ripping down $10+ million a year and you're saving, $4 or $5 million a year on taxes, like that's a significant amount. Then you can really cut off a lot of years off your retirement. But as far as doing that, I think with a family, it's probably hard. Like I know, you also end up like he did it when he was younger.
Sure.
And I mean, now he just, the globe trot. But yeah, some of the people I've met, like, I mean, his group of friends, like these are guys that turned down like market wizards, like just, but they only dabble in markets where they like very aggressive, clearly obvious trends with asymmetric bets.
I doubt they're day trading, Caleb,
Yeah,
but
yeah. I mean, I know like in 2021, there was a lot of stocks that were just ripping super high that were easy shorts once that top was in. I know they were doing some of that stuff, but at his size, to get to where he is now, but at his size now, he doesn't do any day trading, or if he does, it's a very rare occurrence. Like when Coin IPO'd, if you guys remember that in the summer, the IPO and Coin, the stock, I don't know, I think it IPO'd around 40 and got up to over 200 in just a couple weeks, and that prevents like a highly liquid opportunity for an eventual like return to earth moment. Yeah, not talking about Zach Morris, but I do know who that is.
we can just get this little push to like the 630s. I will happily cover this.
There's no limits that I have right now that I would swing. It's the question if I'm going to swing it. Yeah, Qualamagi is a legend. But I'm telling you, there's a lot of guys like Qualamagi that Qualamagi is just the one you heard of.
I'm so far rejecting a 4-hour.
Still pushing up for you. I told you last 10 minutes, maybe they get something going here.
Yeah, we'll see. We got MOC in 30 seconds. We'll get the lovely Kane Algo going.
To Kane Algo.
But yeah, 30 points. I've sat in this basically the entire time we've been on stream.
I think the first 25 points were in the first 10 minutes, and then it's been doing nothing.
Yep.
Attention
see.
traders, it's algo time.
Will it give me a gift of 50 points on this single guy?
Here it is.
You got to pump it up.
Yes, that would be nice. I don't think I'm asking for a whole lot here.
Coming in with the soundboard for the win.
Sweating bullets. I mean, I was pretty confident in this like 560s spot. I didn't have a great entry. I felt like I got into it late and then naturally it almost stopped me out. So maybe it was a little overzealous jumping in where I did, but it's going to work out. It's a scratch trade at the very worst right now. Kane is fast asleep while his voice is reproduced on the internet. Yes, for a minute. We have all signed our life away, and at any point,
do we determine Kane's bedtime?
It depends.
Yeah, depends on if the market's moving. I know he was in Miami for a while. I don't actually know where he lives right now, but
he lives in the UK. But yeah, he's stateside all the time.
am I considering a swing trade in crude oil? I would be continually I don't often swing. So like, let's just be clear on that. So there's no setup right now where I see myself swinging crude. Do I see myself getting long crude tomorrow? Absolutely. Do I see myself holding it for 4 days? No. So I think the opportunity to swing trade, if you really wanted to swing trade, would have been, last night at 3 a.m., but they dumped it into a new low before they took it higher. I am looking at tomorrow right now, 57.75 in CL. So 57.75, I have an alert there. But if I'm not at the desk when it trades, then I'm missing the trade. But if I'm at the desk tomorrow morning, after let's say 8 Eastern, and we come into that level, I will be looking to hold it all day. But I never anticipate getting in a trade and holding for multiple days. That's just not my style. And I don't really see, there's no event in oil that I'm aware of that's unknown or known. Swing trading is more for stocks. I think it'll be a great trading opportunity, but outside of a daily breakout of the channel, but I think that'll last for 2 days. Nothing fundamentally is really going to change in oil. It'll be a technical breakout that probably fails back into the breakout area, if I were to guess.
After all this, if they scratch me out, I'm gonna be pissed.
I'd rather swing trade Bitcoin here than oil. If I were going to swing trade anything, because Bitcoin is in a weekly technical breakout. And it is something like oil, my trade is long, but the trend in oil is really capped by supply, which is like a new phenomenon. Like for the first half of my trading career, there was supply issues and OPEC had control over the price of oil. That really is not the case. We have so much oil that's produced here in the United States that we're not affected like we used to be. I mean, like during the Bush era, oil was $140 at some point in 2008.
Cue the sad Price is Right music as I am scratched out. Oh.
Sorry to hear that, Nick.
It's all good. We move on to tomorrow. What a terrible power hour session here. I mean, maybe we'll make a new low. That'd be fun. Not fun for Jack is still long, but
I just flipped back in at this 42 level. I mean, not that I think I'm going to get much out of this, but
I mean, that was as high as 30 points. So I mean, but it's coming all the way back below my entry now, so it is what it is. We barely have moved.
Okay, so Jensen Huang, I guess, is speaking at 4. Huang.
Jensen, yeah, he would wait till the markets are closed. Well, yeah, you could only announce a another strategic partnership on low liquidity.
Yeah.
So the way it works, you have to
He's-
wait.
He's a very aware CEO on how his stock affects the entire, not just, or what his words, not just his stock, but the entire market. He's very in tune at that.
Yeah. If he wasn't, if they weren't, like the PR team would not have done all these stupid press releases about partnerships that are just handshake nonsense. Because I used to write those agreements. So yes, they are in fact mostly nonsense.
Blame Nick.
A lot of marketing fluff and commitments of spend on both sides, but nothing. There's no contracts. Like it's not a true spend contract. Like no one's putting pen to paper and writing checks. It's just a committed spend in nothing but words most of the time.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm just moving my target down because I am running out of. Actually, you know what? Whatever. I put it at the top of this candle. He's either going to say something or he's not.
I mean, it's like I'm looking at the Associated Press link. It looks like the Star Wars background right now. Like the opening credits from Star Wars is what it looks like. So God only knows what's about to happen.
Don't you know? Pump it up. All right, interesting markets on the day outside of course, what we're looking at. Silver up 7%, the usual. We got copper up 5. I'll be looking at copper. Bitcoin up 4.7%. Nat gas down 3. It's really the worst performer that I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a okay. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, Bitcoin has been over the last 5 days up 8%. Like I said, I think it's in that technical breakout. I like paying attention to markets that are one-way tradable, like pretty obvious higher time frame breakout, because then I don't have to focus on the other side. It's easier to trade, in my opinion, a market from one side than two, if it's like a clear trend, because you're basically just looking for a place to get long and then aim for new highs, or looking for a place to get short and then aim for new lows. Like today at the indexes, we got a sweep up higher, a fast move back lower, a new high of the day, and then right back to lows. Like that's a two-sided trade. It's a good trading market in a sense that like you can make opportunity short and long, but it's not like a good return on risk market, because it's not like you can get like a 4 or 5 hour trade on that type of market situation. So that's always like to pay attention to other markets that potentially are trending on higher timeframes, and Bitcoin seems to be wanting to get moving, and I'm not going to ignore that. Up 5% to basically start the year. All right, here we go. Come on. So close. Get my last minute booster. This is not my style of trading. Scalp a few points in a close, but we do it for the people. $30 seconds to close. $45 half. My target 45 half. Sellers stepping in there.
Target filled.
All right, couple points.
And there's the bell. And we did absolutely nothing.
Order canceled.
So I hope everyone has had a wonderful start to their 2026 trading year, as well as has had a lot of fun with us here on NinjaTrader Live. Yeah, I think it's me taking us out. So thank you guys for joining us. Make sure if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do hit that before we get out of here, as well as make sure you have smashed that thumbs up button to like this stream. We'll be back tomorrow morning, bright and early, 8 a.m. Eastern time with pre-market analysis, followed by the wonderful Merritt and Chris trading the open, and hanging out with everybody tomorrow morning. So I guess I got to take us out with the final Jim quote here. As he always says, be safe out there and be good to each other. Cheers, guys.
Take care.